Still interested in a final run in the current WWE to test yourself even more? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've got a lot of friends there.
Take the title off Cody.
Hangman and Kenny, the four of us, we negotiated together. One day, this person's voting to leave, this person's voting to go. We weren't even on the same page the whole time.
I could have walked in at SummerSlam that night with the AEW belt.
Just this whole company is just the playground for Chris Jericho, and anybody that works with him ends up being lower on the roster.
AEW was supposed to be a game changer, a beacon of hope for wrestlers and fans tired of the same stale product.
I have never seen so much bullshit drama in one place in my entire life.
We talked about how we just signed these contracts. There was a lot of emotions in the last year, as the world knows.
Did you indeed fear for your life, or was that performative?
Yeah, I was scared as hell for a moment there.
There was many times where Matt just said, you know what, I have enough.
People just can go into business for themselves, whether they're going on social media and talking about how they're not being booked or, you know, how they're undervalued or whatever.
It promised innovation, freedom, and a future where wrestlers could thrive. But now...
That's what I loved about, like, you know, year one of our company was, like, people would say, like, maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen. We had, like, you know, Tony's ideas for stories. We would have the Bucks. We would have mine. And then we'd have, you know, Cody's ideas. And if I had to work with Cody on a story, the way that we'd go about it might be completely different. But I think it's because we had that variety that it brought interest to the company. I think too much of the same is only going to get the same amount of people showing up. Yep. You know what I mean?
Backstage fights, broken promises, and fan outrage paint a picture of chaos.
You said to be AEW is to be under constant attack.
There are a lot of people out there that don't want to see it succeed and spend a lot of time trying to stop it.
AEW isn't just struggling.
And it's like, you need to attract at least that many people to make sure you preserve that TV spot. You know, at the time, they were asking for 500,000-600,000 a week. So luckily for us, like, we pretty much doubled the expectations. We kind of float around like 900, 1 million.
In this video, we will pull back the curtain, expose the top stars planning to abandon ship, and reveal the uncomfortable truth about Tony Khan's leadership.
And so he is somebody that I love just talking wrestling with. He's somebody that I love kind of bouncing ideas back and forth with. He is somebody that I love getting feedback from and giving feedback to. It's not like a kissing up to your boss kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, look, have you ever been employed before? Like, I think people should do that.
I frankly think it's an easier environment backstage at Collision than it was a year ago to do things.
The real cause of AEW's downfall isn't who or what you think it is.
And somebody must have told them, hey brother, and said, hey, this guy me over, this guy's a snake, or watch out. And he says he heard it various times.
Stick around, because what we have discovered might change how you see AEW forever. And what happens next could alter the future of professional wrestling itself.
The executive vice presidents have a lot of say in what we do.
I don't have any say. Have you not read the news in terms of, I do not book AEW. I'm not the head honcho. The con, as I like to refer to it.
AEW, is it good for wrestling? Is,
I think it's gonna force everybody to be the best that they can.
AEW burst onto the scene in 2019 with promises of unity, innovation, and a wrestler-friendly environment.
Jacksonville Jaguar owner Shad Khan and his son are venturing beyond the business of NFL football and into the pro wrestling business, investing millions of dollars into the action-packed sport. The buzz has already drawn in the likes of well-known wrestlers like the late Dusty Rhodes' son, Cody Rhodes.
Two big differences between WWE and what AEW is. Tony Khan.
Guys, he's one of us.
Bringing together a group of people that have like the same kind of vision, and yeah, it's going to be competitive. Even if it's competitive within, I think it's going to breed healthy competition.
Tony Khan himself says he has been a wrestling fan all his life and said in a statement that he's hoping to help lead a movement to grow the wrestling community.
And with all the things he has going on, all the things he's tweeted, he says this is the post that's gotten more attention than anything.
By far, it was this podcast I did with Steve Austin.
Now you're owner and creator, founder of AEW. I'm still part of WWE, but I love competition. And to watch that show the other day was a pleasure, and it's worth every $50 or whatever it was I paid for it. And I just want you guys to keep crushing it and knocking it out of the park.
Used to be 4 EVPs, now there are 3.
Yeah, I know. There's only 3. And I will say the 4th EVP, we can't mention his name.
Cody, it's dinner time.
I'm just kidding, it's Cody.
Everything about AEW has sounded ridiculous. Hey, we're gonna start a wrestling company. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. That's tough. That's tough. Hey, the four of you, Matt, Nick, Kenny, the Bucks, me, Kenny, you guys are gonna run it. And I'm the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All this stuff sounds so ridiculous, but it's real.
Are you writing now more of the storylines?
I write I have been.
You took that more
on your shoulders as opposed to when you first started.
It's true that I am booking and writing everything by hand.
At the beginning, just to build that small little bit of infrastructure, which we didn't have, he really, and I will assume that this is just from just knowledge of being in the business all his life.
The sledgehammer, the chair, a lot of people buzzing about that. Can you walk us through your thought process, the idea behind that, why it was important to do that?
Okay, so I had a literal dream about this type of entrance. And I'll be, I loved when Triple H came out at WrestleMania 30 and it was kind of like Shao Kahn, and it was really cool, and the throne kind of symbolized his reign. And man, I want to play ball. I'm not, I know we don't say competition, but it stands for itself, And I also want people to know this role, this executive vice president role, which I love and I'm excited about. I want to be a wrestler first. And that's great. We were able to do that tonight. More than anything. Not so much a shot at Triple H, more a shot at I'm not ready to dive into that role and lean into it. I want to be a wrestler first and foremost. I'm not done. I know that people think Kenny's the best, and I know that people think Chris is the best, and now John Moxley's the best. I'm always going to be wondering, what can I do? What's the step, He
was born into the business, and he understood a lot from his father. It's like he knew what we needed. He knew what we needed to line up, and the things that I couldn't get. Then Cody's like, okay, what are we going to do about medical staffing? And it's like, oh, that's right, we need that too. Yeah, we should have doctors. So he's like, okay, I've got a contact for Doc Sampson. We're able to get trainers through that. And it's like, okay, what else do we need? It's like, oh boy, we need like producers for TV. We need guys that actually have experience doing wrestling production on TV. So again, that was like a Cody thing where it's like, okay, yep, I know, like I can get in touch with this guy. You think you're there, but you're not, because we were so understaffed in the beginning. Yeah. Oh boy. And even to this day,
yeah, everybody's very much on the same page as far as like what we want to do with the business.
I know that I'm a little in the minority in terms of what I like in wrestling. I like storytelling and interviews, and I'll use WrestleMania 3 as an example. I like Hogan versus Andre. I love Steamboat versus Savage. And there are people in management who like, they like the latter more.
Reports of heated arguments, backstage brawls, and locker room divisions have become alarmingly frequent. When a locker room becomes fractured, it doesn't just affect morale, it spills into the product fans see on screen.
But I do know that there was a day where Tony Khan started telling people there's no such thing as long-term booking anymore, it's week to week.
The result? Storylines that feel disjointed, matches that lack cohesion, and a growing disconnect amongst fans.
The biggest lesson learned by AEW from the WCW fiasco. The company is not all about using older WWE stars. And you can see when you watch the show that they're doing everything they can to elevate the younger AEW stars. So they're already doing now what WCW never did and what led to WCW collapsing. That and like completely ridiculous, horrible booking, which I don't even think AEW could do that if they wanted to. I don't think Tony Khan or anybody there is capable of being as bad at booking as Vince Russo. And
there were times in the first year where I'm in charge of creative and I had a lot of people around me, and there were stuff that I let through, and a lot, to be honest, the stuff I liked the least in 2019 was stuff that I had low expectations for.
One of the main themes has been that the most interesting stories, the stories that we find ourselves talking about the most, are not stories that are playing out or we have any reason to believe are going to play out on television. And you can go back to Cody leaving in January of 2022 and can't really talk about why he left. But then MJF supposedly maybe threatening to no-show the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, went away for 3 months, couldn't talk about that while it was going on. And then in the following September, we had all this fight controversy, and we definitely can't talk about that. And that's been the biggest one of all. The fact that he can't talk about so many things. And does that come with any kind of cost?
The headlines are filled with chaos and betrayal, backstage fights, broken promises, and fans comparing AEW to WWE's darkest days.
How's your locker room doing, Tony?
Very well. We have a great locker room with some of the best stars in wrestling.
Jack Perry, his experience from all in 1 to all in 2. Walk me through that.
Because I'm the real deal.
Well, it is a good question. I'm really excited about what
And I am that damn good. It's no secret. It's on the internet that Britt Baker had an issue and was suspended. Has she come through that? Is everything good with that?
I mean, Britt Baker's been on the show just this week. So
I'm just telling you what the internet told me. I didn't say it. The internet told me she was suspended for 2 weeks. That's what they told me.
One of the things I noticed with your style is your transparency.
I think that's like one of the reasons people like AEW. We've been pretty real about it. I mean, Well, yeah, I'm super transparent. I mean, I haven't.
Was it recent?
I don't want to.
I think Britt Baker's fantastic, and it's been so great having Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, back in AEW, and she's chasing the CEO, and I think that AEW All In, how many abbreviations was that in like 10 seconds? Pretty cool. It's going to be a great match.
You have a time commitment you got to get to soon, so we're going to wrap it up.
You're the one who has the time commitment.
From CM Punk's explosive exit.
Basically, AEW brought CM Punk back into wrestling, blew any dust off him, got the ring rust off, and prepped him for a WWE return.
To Britt Baker's suspension just weeks after returning from injury, AEW's backstage culture has been under intense scrutiny. These aren't isolated events. These are a symptom of a much larger issue. Tensions boiling over. Wrestlers and staff describe a toxic atmosphere where cliques dominate decision-making, leaving many feeling sidelined or undervalued.
And then we met this Tony Khan guy, and who also believed in what we were doing because he was a fan of ours. Like he's a first day Elite fan. That's what he's the biggest fan in the world. We met him, and it was luck, man.
The fallout from CM Punk's departure. Punk's exit didn't just leave a talent gap. It exposed a leadership vacuum and a locker room culture in disarray.
It's like sometimes you're in a locker room and some of these guys are just so dead serious about pro wrestling to the point where like it's almost uncomfortable, and we want to have fun.
His departure has emboldened others to consider their options.
Did I negatively affect the business? Damn, I didn't want to do that. Nobody wants to be that guy, and the ones that do, we don't give a shit about them anyway.
WWE being hot helps us.
Well, and then the threat of guys from our company going there.
Who knows who will jump ship and whatnot? Like it's,
and we didn't know. Talked about how we just signed these contracts. Right. Not just the two of us. Hangman and Kenny, the four of us, we negotiated together as a team.
The ones that, I'm going to retire if this person comes back.
There was many times where Matt just said, you know what, I have enough. I'm ready to just retire.
The ones that, you know what, if he's here, I don't want to be here.
Right. And there was a lot of emotions in the last year, as the world knows.
Take your ass home then, because the business is going to roll and roll and roll, with or without.
Once you get to the top, it's like, it's not as fun in a weird way. Maybe I'm just...
No, you're right about that.
The fallout from AEW's internal chaos is taking its toll on the company's biggest names.
I love this place.
The votes did not line up every time.
I care about this place.
Because we said majority wins on this.
This is my home.
So one day, this person's voting to leave, this person's voting to go. We weren't even on the same page the whole time.
I will be defending all elite wrestling.
So, you know what I mean? Like, we had no idea.
From you.
Wrestlers once loyal to AEW's vision are now questioning their place within the organization.
And Nicholas Jackson. Clap for them, guys. Come on.
The EVP exodus.
What's up with the backstage drama? Whether it was stuff with Rhodes when he left.
I want to stay the executive vice president of All Elite Wrestling. I told Tony this until I...
If it is a work, they are working a locker room that has already grown more distant from Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes. That would be toxic.
Or was it CM Punk was there and being kind of a jerk, I guess, with the Young Bucks and their issue, all that nonsense. Where do you stand with that?
Politicking backstage all day, trying to get a Cody deal. Cody's, that's sick.
AEW stars aren't just employees or independent contractors. They're the faces of the brand. If key figures leave, it's not a personnel loss. It's a blow to the company's identity and credibility.
AEW has got a good thing going. I don't think they need me. I think they need me. So I'll make my return for New Japan instead.
Reports suggest that the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and even Hangman Page have expressed frustrations about their reduced influence in the company.
And if I was able to get everything that I could ever want or anything I could ever ask for, yeah, there are a number of people on their roster that I would love to have fun with and work with in the ring before I'm able to pack it in once and for all. So I wouldn't consider it so much as a test. It'd be a very selfish final run for me.
Anybody out there that you talk to on a regular basis, or?
I would say the closest is definitely Sami Zayn.
I don't think I didn't notice your t-shirt. It did not fall on blind eyes. I do see the Sami Zayn t-shirt, which he is an absolute hero. Love that dude.
Absolutely.
He's fantastic.
One of my best friends. Those are moments I'll never forget, and I'm just so proud that I've been able to have incredible matches with him, done some incredible work. Proud that I can call him a friend. Proud that he's doing so well, and finally showing everyone just how good he really is.
Maybe the one business out there where grudges don't exist. But at the end of the day, they can all be repaired, they can all die off, and everything can be fixed with a handshake because it's what's good for business.
What's my status with Punk right now? Did I ever have a chance to talk to him? Status of Punk right now? I don't know. It's just mutual respect. We reached out to each other. That's the thing. It's not like, hey, we're good now. We're never bad. We honestly, if it weren't for a complete other factor, we would have been able to have that talk on the night of Brawl Out. There's no issue between him and I, as far as I know. I don't think there is at all.
I was just gonna say I've had anxiety thinking.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Been anxious. Didn't know if I could still perform at a high level.
I was actually waking up in cold sweats. I haven't been sleeping. People don't understand because we haven't been able to really talk about it. But it's
been stressful.
2 of the hardest months of my life. I know you too, and my family, and here we are. We got through it.
Yep.
Brought up a certain way in this business, which is the right way. That's when you become a professional. Not all this other shit that's watering down the business.
A business full of counterfeit bucks.
And making it worse, not better.
The people that I know, that I work closely with, have nothing but good things to say about the man.
Business is one thing and personal is another. And who taught us that it's just business, Mark? Vince McMahon.
As the founder and driving force of AEW, Tony Khan shoulders the blame.
Tony Khan's probably got a lot of right-hand men, but I think I'm probably one of them.
Or the praise for its successes and failures.
Since you've gone on record trying to check WWE on some of this tampering stuff, it's gotten better or there's been no change?
That's a fascinating way to phrase the question.
If you put it on the record like stop tampering with my guys, you're sending a clear message. I'm wondering if it worked out.
I don't think that it has. I think that it's still happening.
Early on, his fan just like you persona endeared him to audiences.
He's one of us. He's a wrestling fan.
Tony Khan is legit the biggest wrestling fan I've ever met. And it is weird working for somebody that could tell you, Cody, remember when you had that match in 2003 at, this building in Kansas City, and this was the attendance, and they had this many pay-per-view buys and all this stuff. Like, he has an amazing mind for wrestling.
But now,
there's a big difference between this year and last year. When I talk about things I wasn't thrilled about, I'm not sure if this is what we'll see from now on. If it is, when the fight is brought, I will continue bringing fights of my own, and I have unique ways to do that and a lot of money to fight with. This is not a game to me. I don't think it's a joke. This is my life, and I take it really seriously. When I compare myself to Jim Crockett Promotions this weekend, I think I got a taste of the same medicine Jim Crockett Promotions took, but I have a lot more money than Jim Crockett did. And I'm serious, I'm not gonna sit back and take this.
Overextension and control, Khan's insistence on micromanaging every aspect of AEW, combined with his tendency to avoid tough questions.
I think being this unwilling to talk about these subjects undermines AEW's brand as a strong alternative to wrestling companies in the US like WWE that want to ignore the obvious, ignore the elephant in the room that everyone is thinking about and no one is willing to talk about. It undermines a lot of the earned trust that AEW quickly earned since 2019.
Dance around what I was saying.
I'm not interested in creating a spectacle brand that's hot for a moment. 2 years later, people are like, remember when that was cool.
2 years in the making, so it's pretty special, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Sometimes you have something going and it's kind of hot. You go like, oh man, we could go all in right there, right now. But if you go too far, too fast.
I'm not Hogan. Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole, they're not the outsiders. This is totally different. And I'll go ahead and say it. To me, this is bigger.
Too fast. You limit your chances on the other side of it being long term.
In fact, I think there's only room for one Khan in the wrestling business, Nick. And it's me. It's Tony Khan.
It's not some con man from Connecticut.
It's you burn that fire too fast, it burns out and it's done.
It's good to have like different people that are specialists, almost like in pro football or college football, where people focus on different things.
So it's not about an individual performance, about the show overall and where it all fits together and how. That's the art of this, how it all fits together.
Has left many questioning his ability to lead.
No matter what it is, it can't be something so bad it makes people hate yourself. And I've seen people do that in wrestling, and that's what I don't want to do.
So the point is, when you have all of these belts, and everybody has a belt, but whether they have a belt or not, they're still slotted in the exact same spot, it doesn't matter. Just putting the belt around his waist and leaving him in the exact same spot means nothing. I could go up and down the roster. Your Anna Jays. Remember Anna Jay when she was first starting out? Man, few years. It's same broken record. She's in the exact same spot. What it is a whole bunch of wasted potential, which is irritating. And it's not a lot of solutions that are difficult.
You'll never know, like, the secrets, but you at least know what my job is on a regular basis.
The yes man problem.
So, like, Swerve's coming to stay with us in October.
That's cool that you know Swerve.
Yeah.
I should trust my instincts more.
I think Tony Khan's instincts for professional wrestling are actually stronger than anybody ever gives him credit for, genuinely.
When Will Washington joined AEW in May 2023, it wasn't just a backstage hire.
Wrestling is my life. I've got many friends in the business. Cousin is a WWE superstar.
It was a headline-grabbing move.
Bill we've established is a bizarrely encyclopedic wrestling mind. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody that has the memory for wrestling shows and dates that you do. And that's coming from Tony Khan.
Washington received the coveted All Elite graphic announcement on AEW social media accounts, a gesture typically reserved for top-tier talent signing. To many fans, this immediately raised eyebrows.
Will Washington, the failed podcaster that he is.
You know, I pride myself on being fairly aware of what AEW fans feel and what AEW fans want.
Why would a non-wrestler receive such a high-profile welcome? To critics, it was an early sign of favoritism from Tony Khan, a dynamic that has only fueled tension ever since.
So again, I'm not going out there saying anything bad about him, but I'm telling you what the perception is about him within the company that he works for. And these are people that say, you know what, I'm nice to him because if I'm not nice to him, he'll go to Tony, say something, I'm off of TV.
Genuinely think Tony Khan is a brilliant man.
Number one, I've known D-Bump for quite a while, and he's a straight shooter. He wouldn't put out like that into the universe if he didn't believe it or hear it. Number two, I met Will Washington backstage. I didn't know he was Swerve Strickland's cousin, which is kind of funny because I always heard that there were no writers there. But he specifically told me, he goes, I'm here to write for the African-American talent.
You know, I will say that, peeling back the curtain a little bit. So one of the segments I produced, when I came up to you and told you about this and told you where it was leading, I watched your eyes light up.
I'm sure he doesn't like it. You know that somebody that he trusts is being called the snake in the grass, but he's so busy that I don't even think he even knew about it.
Before his AEW tenure, Washington was accused of using his platform at Fightful News to write glowing reviews of Swerve.
So just as a personal question, what's up?
Only a snake would align with the media.
For a team that helped define AEW's tag team division, the apparent fall from grace feels more than a coincidence.
I tell him this all the time, and I considered him a friend before I ever worked for AEW.
And
people don't think I see it, and I probably should be admitting this, but I see everything I'm tagged in. So everybody's got every single match they want to see, and they tag me every minute of every day.
Preparing for this video, I spent hours listening to AEW's official podcast, AEW Unrestricted, and it helped clarify just how far AEW standards have fallen. Washington replaced Tony Schiavone as co-host of the AEW Unrestricted podcast, but instead of injecting fresh energy, viewership nosedived. And it's become a painful listen, with episodes feeling more like a vanity project. Washington and Tony Khan share an almost eerie similarity. Both possess an encyclopedic memory for wrestling trivia dates, facts, and dates.
BTE 208 through like 222.
I'm relatable and folksy. And
critics argue it doesn't translate to innovation and leadership the AEW desperately needs. Instead, it fosters an echo chamber.
on the largest stage possible.
Get on TV.
And
Where challenging the status quo is rare and fan feedback is increasingly ignored.
And
what I don't want to do is give some of the grifters some validation right now because I don't want them to necessarily feel like that they're 100% right.
Many backstage have deep distrust with him.
Like, I truly do believe in Tony Khan as a leader.
Instead, it's emblematic of AEW's broader issues: unchecked egos, lack of quality control, and an unwillingness to address legitimate fan concerns.
Well, you can use the press pass. You don't have to be in the press.
Very good. Thank
This
you
is
very
the
much.
wrestling business. I'm very loose.
I need to pitch them to Tony because I know how he thinks and I know what he wants. This individual said, well, it's the bottom of the card. It doesn't matter. How it's the bottom of the card. It doesn't matter. Like, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're fired. Don't work at Sunglass Hut. You should be pistol whipped for saying that. A little stressful.
I'm exhausted.
Yep.
And it's only noon.
When I lost my dad, I lost my love for the business. I don't give a damn what somebody in Stamford, Connecticut says I can call myself. He was with me for my first breath. I was with him for his last. My name is Cody Goddamn